when I say pull him on top of me, I really mean that I come to him and I try to sneak myself underneath supine so that when we lay down, you're on top of me. I'm not really pulling you up. So if you see me, I try to pull myself underneath so that when we fall, we're like this, okay? And then what I explained at this point was that I don't know what the grips are, and sometimes when you pull them and you yank, they end up higher. They end up like this. And now we got to deal with them in different scenarios like this. But in this, how I want to warm up right now is we landed like this. He's not that far up, and he's not ready to start his float passing. So before we even go anywhere, I told you my first reaction was when he landed was I want to try to kill the spacing between chest to chest. So my first reaction upon landing is to reach up. If I can connect my hands in this grip, I try to, okay? That'll give me a little bit more power, and it'll give me a couple of more options than what I had like this. Okay, not the end of the world if this is all you could grab, because sometimes they're so big that you can't get underneath them, but they're on top of you. So preferably, I've gotten some grip in my hands. So we said in the last, this is a couple of combinations on this. When I float them diagonally, only one leg goes out, not both, okay? So when we bring them out this way, this leg is still cocked in case I end up wanting to take this arm or he tries to run on me, okay? So upon landing, there's a couple of things that I want you to emphasize. I don't want him to come back until I transfer my hands. So when we first were either here with the grip or I just was able to grab something, okay? Upon floating him at an angle, I should have a goal of getting this shoulder. So if I'm floating this way, the shoulder line should end up right on my spinal cord line. So upon floating him, he is right here. If I haven't floated enough, there's an issue going on that I didn't do this correctly. So the shoulder line is right here. Upon floating him, the second thing I want you to do is drop this hand and block his face, because I want to take this hand that's on this side to transfer it to the middle. So upon floating him, I drop this in front of his face because I've already let go on this side to get these hands clamped together. So we're gonna do two reactions. Once I floated this and I've done this correctly, he's gonna drive forward on me and I'm gonna pick him up, elevate him and dump him over and come up, right? But then we're gonna ask him to pause and I'm gonna go the other way. So you're gonna do everything exactly the same. You're here, I slid underneath, we fall, I'm here, either my hands are gripped or they're right behind you. I float out, I'm like this, okay? And he's not running forward. So we're gonna come the other way. I'm gonna start taking this bottom leg out, the one that was in the center, okay? You're gonna have different reactions at this. I could kick this leg out. I could connect it to his hip and transfer this leg. There's a lot of combos depending where he's sitting. So we're not just etched into this one move depending where here. We're gonna switch our feet, but we're gonna keep his posture so that he can't come back to his U setting to regain his athleticism. So as I'm here on this grip, I take this leg out and I have this one focus of trying to put his front deltoid to the mat and take my elbow and bring it through this pocket as much as possible, because I really, really want this leg, this kneecap to face the mat and these toes to touch the mat. So what you're seeing, let's have a focus on this leg at the moment. When I'm making this turn with those elbows, I want to be like this because I want to push off this leg so that we make the full rotation over, okay? Secondly is don't short your elbows, because if you don't turn your elbows, your whole body's not going to turn. So you had a couple of focuses. You had the front deltoid that wanted to touch the mat. Okay. Secondly is my elbows should come through the pocket and have a really, really big emphasis on rotating these elbows because my whole body's rotating. Lastly, there's two other things. I would love to have as much elevation with this leg as possible. So you're having a couple of things with these legs when they scissor. This leg is trying its best to get as much elevation as possible. So when I'm dropping this, I'm trying to pick him up with this leg as much as I can, because if I've done everything right, what's happening is this shoulder has hiked this elbow up so much this way that the shoulders are really, like, it's so painful that you almost want to go over, or you're going to stabilize your base on the lower half. That's going to allow me to bring this leg back and kick your bases out. So as I'm turning these hands over, we said there were a couple of things, right? On this side, my hands turn over this way also. This side also. So my elbows are coming here, because if my elbows have been the determining factor in how I turn, this shoulder is going to hike this elbow up. So as I turn this elbow high on a height right here this way, it gives me the opportunity to do a bunch of things. Lift with this leg, take this leg out, get my knee to the mat, toes to the mat, and as I'm driving and driving and driving, I'm pushing off with that leg to end up in a mounted position. So you had two variations of it, right? Everything remained the same on the float. What I'd like to do is vary the hike on it, because when you go pull them up and you come underneath, you don't know who you're going with. Like I've never met you before, and all of a sudden you bought Gordon Ryan's DVD in the last year and a half, you've been drilling, you go in float pad, you're gonna go high, and now you're gonna flip. And I mean, Ethan's here today, he's got a beautiful pass from that where you float him high and he switches his hips. Beautiful, beautiful. If you've never been here on Friday nights, it's artistic to watch. It's so much fun when he flips it. And he does it also. So I don't want that to happen. So that's why I make this connection right away, suck him down, kill the gap between your chest. You have a lot of little details, try to capture them all, and then we'll add to this as the rounds go through. Let's go through a couple of things mechanically that make the move. Just get to the move and pause it for a sec. He floats him. Everything's great right here, okay? And this is what becomes the determining factor, is if I start losing the deltoid too low, man, there's a high probability I'm not gonna finish anything. Because even if I kick out the lower half, I'm gonna lose the elbow line, and then you're not gonna get a break, and you're gonna go into this sloppy chase, and it just becomes chaotic with no control, you know? So you're like this, and if you start losing that deltoid, that's when you grab the skull, because all I wanted to do, that's right there, all I wanted to do at this point, when I come like this, you're not going to be perfect, so you're going to transfer your hands as low as possible to suck yourself back in, suck yourself, right? So that you're back on that side of the deltoid. Don't think you're going to be perfect. Don't think you're going to grab the back of the skull and readjust like, no, man. And by the time, if you go grab the back of that skull like this, and this hand's here, you're going to lose all of this. Like, you're not going to be able to re-grip this properly, because by the time you switch this grip, he's really far down and he's out, right? So when you go re-grip the skull, your hands were like this, right? And you go re-grip the skull, transfer this also low, because this is just about saving a move. So when you go grab, think about how you were grabbing the lats and getting underneath. This is all about you just re-grabbing and now sucking yourself back in underneath, and now resetting your grip again. And now we're here, okay? So try your best. Don't get focused on grabbing the skull and you're like this and you think that you're gonna re-grip these hands here. Your hands at this point were here and now went to re-grip the skull. I put my hands as far this way as possible because I'm trying to slide myself back in. Don't think you're gonna flip that grip. On a high-level guy, you will not flip that grip, and especially a younger guy that has rotations on his shoulders, no frozen shoulder stuff, none of that stuff. He's gonna rotate on you. He's gonna rotate on you. So you re-grip low, right? This is what you had. You just re-grip, and now you suck yourself back in and reset your grip. So now you're here, okay? And that's why this happened. And now sometimes this happens on your first throw. When you first throw, you're just like, let me grab what I can grab. And I grab head and arm. So at this point, same emphasis. Our elbows are gonna rotate. And now I'm gonna ask some people that are not doing this. This rotation of the shoulder matters so much, meaning this, right? Give me this for a second and put this, no, come back in and put this way, right? And if P did one thing, hold it, and just grab this with an open hand, right? Open hand, and just push this up. And I said, Ethan, reface him. He can't, because the rotation of the shoulder doesn't allow him to reface. Somehow he's got to rotate this elbow this way to recapture coming this way. So with one hand, no grip, all he's doing is pushing this down. Let's go back to the grip, okay? This is why I'm critical, because you have a lot of things going on down here. You got to take this leg out. You got to elevate here. You got to rotate your elbows. But one of the most critical things is rotation of this elbow, okay? So when P's dropping and going down, go through the rotation, this should be as hiked up. See how low this is? It should be as hiked up as possible because I want to have emphasis behind here. Otherwise, the elbow is going to rotate, and I'm going to lose a little bit of horsepower here to make all of these transfers down here, right? So, and maybe I don't go there. Maybe at this point, P's taking a peek down there to see what's going on down there, and maybe he's going to decide to shoot this back leg in and kick that base out that's sitting over there on the far side, and now he kicks it out, and now he just broke the posture, and now he transfers this leg over the top. Yeah, and that's perfect. You could do that. He can transfer it to the clavicle and push him out. You can hit a triangle. You can hit so many things. Like, you're the artist, you paint it the way you want. What I cared about in the move, when you do it, so we're going to recapture him, okay? So when you were here, you're losing the deltoid line. Shit, man, he's about to get away from me. Let me just put my hands as far on that side as possible and see if I can slide myself back in. So there you go. And now regrip your hand. And now you're still having the same positional change. You're making this rotation, everything, but with a huge emphasis now on this hike. Right? This is the same principle of putting your hand here. So when you're doing everything, this thing should be hiked up high. Yeah, so there's pressure in here. And now kick him over, Pete. Yes. And now that's how you get a guy over, with an accumulation of a lot of little things. A little bit over here, a little bit over there, a little bit out of that kick out, more on the rotation of the elbows. So let's practice it again. Let your partner out, and now learn how to regrip low. I'm going to tell you, don't do this, right? Let me in there again, Pete. When you were here with the float, and you're like this, and I'm losing the line, my hands go, I just grab on as deep as I can because I'm not worried about repositioning these hands. You're leaving. I'm going to lose the arm. So I got to suck myself back in. Now we're good again. Now I can put my hands together before you go anywhere. So don't get into this habit. He's here, and now you just were like this, and you're losing the elbow line, and now you think you're going to regrip this from here. Throw yourself over, regrip far lat, suck yourself back in. Now you're nice and tight to him. Chest to chest pressure was what we wanted in the beginning, so he couldn't float me. Right now I can start reconnecting my hands on this side. Now I can start making this rotation. I'm controlling this elbow high, and now I could drive off that back leg. So let's add a couple of those things in there. Let's do it. When he picks them up, you should never bring your knees in. And what happens is, like, they want to hike them up, but they're scared of them landing in the center, so they bring their knees in like this when they pull them up, right? If you're going to do that, that's okay, but at one point when you make the transfer of the hands, those knees got to flare wide. And now what ends up happening is you pull them up, and as they're pulling up like this, they're like that, and that's what you're doing. That didn't look that great, but that's okay. So what you're doing when they pull you up is you're driving one hip in because they just yanked you, and you put your hands up, and now you got a choice. You're going to have to either cross your legs, or because he's going to come underneath on an ashi, right? Or you're going to counter on a float, where he's going to leave the pocket, or he's going to grip your hands. Like, there's this battle going up when we first went up, okay? So when you first went up is the time to hit it. Sometimes it's funny because I love watching him roll, and he'll get up there high, and he's just trying to relay, what they're going to do? And they're doing everything wrong. He's like, all right, let me pass them down. He flips his hips. Good. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere over here. It's a beautiful pass. So when they throw you up, yeah. And don't worry, even though I revealed it, you're still going to pull it off. It's unbelievable. Yeah, yeah. So you're like that, right? So this is what happens. They try to catch, because, and listen, if you were in John Danaher's class, that's like number one, right? And to come underneath the legs, right? So these legs should have been like this. Wide them out, and they should be right here behind the kneecaps, so he can't clear. And if he clears, you're going to launch him, okay? But they don't do that. They put these guys tight. So all you're doing is driving one hip this way to flip the hip the other way, and now you're in side control. But the bottom players got to give you a bad look, like he had to do it wrong, and that's really what they do. They keep their legs tight. They didn't flare their kneecaps. Their insteps didn't drop to the back of the heels. So I'm hoping he can't pull that off in this class anymore. And the Friday night and Saturday, I love that it's done. But in the morning class, like, I try to correct things that are getting success levels. So let's do it again. One more time. So I'm trying to tell you exactly how it's going to go down. P did everything right. He's like this, and that's right now exactly the time to go up. And you shouldn't end up there. Your kneecap should have splayed wide, and your instep should have landed right behind his kneecap, so you can manipulate his movement. He can't beat you to the outside on that turn. And if he does, you launch him. Even if you don't get him over, he has no pass, and me and you go back on a mechanical reset where you're trying to pass me and I'm trying to grip you. Okay, so this time, let's do it one more time. P throws you up. He did everything wrong. He's like this, hips turned in, other leg turns back. Okay, guys, let's do it.
It's probably best.
So first one is a boom here. Boom. And I'm trying to bring my foot in.